Good morning, everybody. Last time we had seen the method to find out or to determine the transport number. Out of that, one of the method we have seen, that is the Hittorf's method. Now, the second method to determine the transport number is moving boundary method. Now, for this method, actually here a cell is used where a vertical tube is used. Actually, a tube is taken and that is mounted vertically. Now, in this tube, to the ends, the electrodes are fixed. On the up end here, the platinum metal is taken, which is acting as the cathode, while at the lower end, here a cadmium metal is taken, which is acting as the anode, and these electrodes are fixed at the end of this tube. Now, to this tube, these are joined in a series. That means the milliammeter, then the battery, the resistor, and the coulometer. These are arranged in a circuit in a series with these electrodes. The milliammeter, which shows you the current flowing through the circuit, while the coulometer, the use of coulometer we have seen. What is the use of coulometer? The coulometer is used to find out the amount of the electricity that has passed through the circuit. The coulometer, we have seen that it consists of a very clean platinum dish, and in that dish a solution of silver nitrate is taken, and in that silver nitrate solution a pure silver rod is inserted, where the silver rod inserted, it acts as the anode, while the platinum dish, that is acting as the cathode. And whenever you pass the electricity through this coulometer, therefore the silver is deposited on the anode, and therefore the amount of the silver deposited here, that amount of the silver deposited that is deposited on the cathode and not anode. So on the platinum dish, that anode, the silver ions that go, they accept the electron and get deposited on that platinum dish, and therefore the amount of the silver deposited here, that from that we can calculate how much quantity of electricity is passed through the circuit. Alright, so the coulometer, the use of coulometer is to calculate how much electricity has passed through the circuit. To calculate the amount of electricity passed, what is done? The platinum dish which is used here, it is first washed, dried, and its weight is taken, empty weight is taken. And after taking a weight, the solution is taken in it, silver nitrate solution is taken, and the electricity is passed for certain time. After passing the electricity, the silver ions from the solution that deposits on this platinum dish, and once the experiment is complete, therefore the platinum dish is, the solution is discarded, silver nitrate, and the platinum dish is weighed again. And the increase in the weight of the platinum or that dish gives you the amount of the silver deposited, and from the amount of silver deposited, the equivalence of silver can be calculated, and the equivalence of silver deposited is equal to the amount of electricity passed through the circuit. So this is what is the use of this coulometer. Now, a tube that we have taken here, in this tube two solutions are taken, and these two solutions are such that they are having the anion common. For example, we took, this is one solution and the another solution is M-E. A is common here, that means the anion is common, cations are different. The anion is common, and two such solutions are taken here in a vertical tube. But these two solutions which are taken in the tube, they must be such that they must leave a boundary between them. That means these solutions must not mix with one another. So this is a very important condition for this method. The solutions which are to be taken here in this tube, they must be such that they must leave a boundary between them. For that, the two solutions which are taken, that must have the different refractive indices, and that's why a boundary is made between them. But to take these solutions here, generally one of the solution, they must have the density difference in between them. The one solution is more dense than the other, and when such two solutions are selected, more dense solution is taken in the lower part, and above that the lower density solution is placed, so that the two solutions are one above the other. And as we have taken more denser solution to the lower, therefore there is no mixing of the solution takes place, and therefore the boundary between them, the boundary which is formed between the two solutions doesn't disturb. So this is what is a very important condition to do this method, that the two solutions are selected such that, first thing, the anion is common in them and the cations of them are different. And the second very important thing is that the two solutions must be such that they must leave a boundary between them. Like this, I have shown a boundary here. AA dash is a boundary between the two solutions. Alright. Now, to do the experiment, what we will do? We pass the certain current through the circuit for certain time, and therefore, when we pass the current, therefore, here this is a cathode. The first solution is here, second solution is here, and this is what is your anode. Alright. Now, the solution here, which constitute of say M dash A, the cations present here, that will migrate towards the cathode. The cations which are present in the vicinity of anode, we know that anode is a positive electrode, cathode is a negative electrode. Therefore, from the anode, the positive cations which are present here, that will migrate towards the cathode, and therefore the boundary between the two solutions is left up, and this be new boundary. That means this much volume is swept by the boundary. When we pass the electricity or when we pass the current, the cations which are in the vicinity of the anode, they migrate towards the cathode, and therefore due to this migration, the boundary between the two solutions, that is swept. That means it disturbs and it takes to the upward, lifted it is, and therefore a new boundary is formed as B to B dash. Therefore, let the volume swept by the boundary is a V. This is what is the volume. Therefore, now if V is the volume swept by the boundary. If C is concentration of the solution, the solution which is taken here is the solution, then Q is the Faradays of electricity. That means this much Faradays of electricity has passed through the circuit, and this Q can be calculated from the coulometer measurements, right? In the coulometer we can calculate how much Faradays of the electricity has passed. The number of equivalents of silver deposited on a platinum dish is equal to the Faradays of electricity, and let's consider that Q Faradays of electricity has passed through the circuit. Alright, I'll tell you the procedure again. What we have done, we have taken a tube, and in that tube we have mounted it vertically, and in that tube we have taken two solutions. Two solutions are such that they are leaving boundary between them. This is very important condition in this method. The two solutions that you are selecting, that must have anion common, and the second thing, they must leave a boundary between them. So two solutions we have taken here. Generally a denser solution is taken beneath, and then above that the less denser solution is taken. And once the solutions are taken, to this tube, here we have taken 2 electrode. On the bottom the anode is fixed, that is all made up of cadmium metal, and at the upper end here the platinum is taken, which is acting as the cathode. To this circuit, the milliammeter, battery, resistor and the coulometer, they all are joined in a series. Once you pass the electricity, the cations which are here, lower solution, the cations from that solution that will migrate towards the opposite electrode, that is the cathode here. The cations here, that will not migrate here because this is the positive electrode. The cations will just go to the cathode and will get deposited from this solution. But the cations from the lower solution will migrate towards the cathode, and due to their migration here, the boundary between the two solutions is uplifted and the new boundary form is B to B dash. Therefore, the volume swept by the boundary, we have considered it as a V here. Here the anions are common and therefore their migration has not having effect on the boundary. Only the cations they migrate. Actually anions are common, therefore there is no effect of their migration on the boundary. Here this boundary is swept lift up due to the migration of cations from anode to the cathode. So therefore this if V is the volume swept by the boundary, C is the concentration of solution and Q is the faradays of electricity which has passed through the circuit. Therefore the equivalence of cation migrated. Now we can measure V. This can be measured. This is the volume which is lifted up due to the migration of the cations. Therefore, the concentration of the solution that have migrated can be calculated by volume into this concentration. This is the total concentration that have lifted up. Now, this is just the concentration. If you want concentration of cations, because this boundary is swept due to the migration of the cations, hence the concentration of cations that have migrated. So volume into concentration, which volume? This volume. This volume into total concentration will give you exact concentration of the cations that have migrated. And if you want to calculate their equivalence, this is just the concentration. If we want to calculate their equivalence per liter, we have to divide it by 1000. So this is what is the equivalence of the cations migrated. Now T plus is equal to, that means the transport number of the cations is equal to calculate the transport number, how we calculate? The amount of the cations or the number of the cations that have migrated or the equivalence of the cations migrated divided by the total equivalence of cations and anions migrated. See, what is T plus? T plus is the equivalence of cations migrated divided by the total equivalence of cations and anions migrated. That means the total Faraday of electricity is nothing but the total equivalence of the cations and anions migrated. The total anions and the cations migrated is equal to the total Faradays of electricity passed through the circuit. Therefore, the equivalence of cation migrated, we know that it is Vc divided by 1000. These are the equivalents of cation divided by total cations. Equivalence of cations and anions migrated is nothing but the total Faradays of electricity passed through the circuit, that means divided by Q. So this is a T plus, so we can write this as Vc divided by 1000 into Q. So this is what is a T plus. So from T plus we can calculate T minus. We know that T plus and T minus total total is equal to 1. Therefore, T minus is equal to 1 minus T plus. So, substitute it 1 minus T plus, which is equal to 1 minus Vc divided by 1000 into Q. So, this is what is T plus and T minus. So, this is how from this method the transport number of positive and the negative ions can be calculated. This method looks to be very simple, but the selection of the two solutions here in the tube, that is the difficult task here, because the two solutions you must choose such that the two solutions must not mix with one another. They must leave a boundary between them. This is what is a very hard task. Otherwise, the method looks to be very simple. Calculation of T plus and T minus, that is also very simple. So, this is how from the moving boundary method the transport numbers are found. Now, let's go further. So, we have completed the two methods. Now, we had seen that in a dependence of the equivalent conductance on a concentration, in that topic we have seen that the equivalent conductance of the weak electrolyte, it increases with a dilution and it increases to very greater extent compared to the strong electrolyte. The equivalent conductance of the strong electrolyte on increasing the dilution, it also increases, but that increase is a very small as compared to the increase in the equivalent conductance of weak electrolyte with a dilution. That why this is, that we are going to see. Actually, the strong electrolyte, they dissociate completely. So, the equivalent conductance that must increase like the weak electrolyte. But when you see the relation of conductance and the concentration for strong electrolyte, it is observed that the conductance of the strong electrolyte does not increases that much with the increase in the concentration, and the reason for those we are going to see. The Arrhenius theory. Actually, the Arrhenius theory, that is of electrolytic dissociation of the electrolytes. The dissociation of electrolytes, that is given by the Arrhenius. And Arrhenius says that the electrolyte, they dissociate partially, and whatever ions are produced, those ions, due to that ion, the conductance is there to the electrolyte. And as you increase the concentration, there is a decrease in the dissociation of electrolyte, and hence therefore on increasing the concentration, the conductance decreases. This is what is the Arrhenius theory. But this Arrhenius theory, this is correct, or it predicts the conductance variation of the conductance with concentration correctly, but it fails to explain the variation of conductance with concentration for strong electrolytes. Arrhenius theory, what are the main assumptions of this theory? The first assumption is that the electrolytes dissociate partially. This is the first assumption. And the second is that the electrolyte when dissociates, the ions which are formed, those ions are independent, or they migrate independent of the other ions. That means that in a solution, when the positive and the negative ions are formed, positive ion migrate independently, or its migration does not depend on with which it is coordinated or with which it is bounded. With that ion, its conductance or its migration is not depending. These two are the main assumptions of the Arrhenius theory, but these two assumptions are true or correct in case of the weak electrolyte. It is not applicable, or these assumptions are not correct to the strong electrolyte, and hence therefore on the basis of Arrhenius theory we cannot explain the dependence of the conductance on the concentration. Actually, according to the Arrhenius theory, the strong electrolyte which actually dissociates completely, almost completely, so in increase in the concentration must produce more ions of the strong electrolyte and the conductance must increase, but this is not observed in case of the strong electrolyte. So what are the reasons that we are going to see? Alright, so therefore the two drawbacks of the Arrhenius theory were, the first is the electrolytes dissociate partially. Actually, these drawbacks in the sense I am explaining why Arrhenius theory could not explain the variation of conductance with concentration for strong electrolyte. This is applicable to only weak electrolyte. Why it is not applicable to the strong electrolyte, that I am explaining. So the drawbacks of this theory were, the first assumption that the electrolyte dissociates partially. The strong electrolyte, we know that they doesn't dissociate partially. They dissociate almost completely, even in a solid state or even in a molten state. If we take the example of sodium chloride solid, the Na plus and Cl minus ions in the solid, they are arranged three-dimensionally. Directly ions are arranged. That means the ions are present in the solid state only. When such electrolytes are dissolved in water, they dissociate almost completely and form the large number of the ion. So this is the first drawback of Arrhenius theory, that it considers that the electrolytes, they dissociate partially, but the strong electrolyte, they dissociate completely. This is the first drawback. Now the second drawback is that interionic forces are negligible. This is the second drawback of Arrhenius theory. Now, in case of the weak electrolyte, we know that they dissociate to very small extent or they dissociate partially. So, small number of ions are produced, and this small number of ions, they are far apart from each other, and therefore, due to the small number, the distance between them is more, and therefore the interionic forces are not significant in case of the weak electrolyte. Interionic forces in the sense, the forces between positive and the negative ions, or the interionic forces between the ions means the type of the forces, repulsive forces, attractive forces which are present. But generally here I am meaning to say the interionic attractive forces, because when the electrolyte dissociates, positive and the negative ions are formed, and the attraction forces, obviously the positive and the negative ion will have attraction forces. These interionic attraction forces are negligible. That is true, but in case of the weak electrolytes only, it is not true in case of the strong electrolyte. So this was the second drawback of the Arrhenius theory, that the interionic forces are negligible. This is true only in case of the weak electrolytes. This is not true in case of the strong electrolyte. And therefore, the variation of conductance with concentration for the strong electrolyte, in that case we have to consider the interionic forces. Interionic attractive forces has to be considered, because the strong electrolyte that dissociates almost completely, large number of the ions are formed, and due to the large number of ions, the ions are more closer to each other, and if they are close, therefore the attractive forces between the oppositely charged ions will not be negligible. Hence therefore this Arrhenius theory fails to explain the variation of conductance with concentration for strong electrolyte. It is applicable only for the weak electrolyte, and therefore the theory of interionic attractive forces was given to explain the variation of conductance with concentration for strong electrolyte, and this theory was given by Debye, Huckel and Onsager. These three scientists together, they develop a interionic attraction theory, and this theory tells us why the conductance of a strong electrolyte, it decreases on increasing the concentration. Actually, the strong electrolyte will dissociate completely. On increasing the concentration, number of ions must increase, and as the number of ions are increasing, conductance must also increase, but this is not observed. So why this is so? That is explained with the help of interionic attraction theory. Interionic attraction theory, which is given by Debye, Huckel and Onsager. This theory is given in terms of two effects. The first is asymmetric effect, or this is also called as relaxation effect. And the second is electrophoretic effect. In an interionic attraction theory, the two effects are explained: asymmetric effect or relaxation effect, and electrophoretic effect. Due to this effect, the velocity of the ions is decreased, which is actually the reason of decreasing the conductance of a strong electrolyte with increasing concentration. Let's see what's this effect are. The first effect, asymmetric effect. Now what this effect is? Now consider that here is the solution is taken in a container. Therefore, in the absence of electric field, it is observed that in a solution, we know that the oppositely charged ions have the attractive forces, while the similar charges, positive, negative charges, they repel each other. So in absence of electric field, each ion is surrounded by the oppositely charged ions. For example, here I have taken a cation in the center, and this cation is surrounded by the negative ions from the surrounding. And here this cation in the center is equally surrounded from all the sides by the oppositely charged ions, that is the negatively charged ions or the anions. It is equally surrounded by the oppositely charged ions, and therefore this positive ion in the center, it does not experience a pull in any direction. See, in this direction, if we consider the charges which are present on this side, their attractive force is exactly nullified by the charges which are present in this direction. So therefore, if we consider in all the directions, therefore this central positive ion, that is not experiencing अ पुल इन एनी डायरेक्शन, एका कुठल्याही डायरेक्शन मध्ये त्याला पुल जाणवत नाहीये, कारण सगळ्या बाजूनी सारखेच चार्जेस आहेत. कुठल्याही एका बाजूचा फोर्स जर आपण कन्सिडर केला तर तेवढाच फोर्स एक्झॅक्टली दुसऱ्या किंवा अपोजिट बाजूने लावला जातो. त्याच्यामुळे जे काही पॉझिटिव्ह आयन आहे ते पॉझिटिव्ह आयन सेंट्रली सिच्युएटेड आहे आणि त्याच्या बाजूनी आयन्स ॲटमॉस्फिअर आहे. दॅट इज कॉल्ड एज आयनिक ॲटमॉस्फिअर. The atmosphere of the ions surrounding the central ion is called as the ionic atmosphere, and this ionic atmosphere is spherically symmetric in case of the absence of electric field. This is the spherically symmetric ionic atmosphere. But this is the case in absence of the electric field. Now, if we apply the electric field, what will happen? Obviously, this positive charge will try to move towards the negative electrode, while these negative charges surrounding these negative charges, they will try to move towards the positive electrode, and therefore this situation will be changing to this situation, because the negative charges will try to move towards the positive electrode and the positive ion will try to move towards the negative electrode. Now in this case, the ionic atmosphere becomes asymmetric. The ionic atmosphere, it will become asymmetric. In case of this asymmetric ionic atmosphere, now this positive ion, it will experience a net backward pull in this direction. It will be attracted. Why? Because now the density of the negative charges is greater on the back side than on the front side. Very small negative charges are present on front side, while the more density of the negative charges is present on the back side, and therefore these negative charges will try to attract this positive charge more than this front charges, and therefore the result of this is that this positive ion will be attracted with a more force on the backward direction, and due to this there will be effect on its movement or the velocity, as this ion is moving towards this direction while it is pulled in the backward direction. So due to this net backward pull, the velocity or the movement of the positive ion will slow down, and due to this slowdown there is a decrease in the conductance of the electrolyte. That means the net backward pull, this is responsible for the slowing down the ion, which in turn will decreases the conductance of the solution. So this is what is called as the asymmetric effect. In the absence of the electric field, the ionic atmosphere is symmetric. When you apply the electric field, the atmosphere becomes asymmetric. Hence it is called as the asymmetric effect. The ionic atmosphere becomes asymmetric. The density of the charges of the opposite charges toward this central charge is very small than the density of the opposite charges on the back side, and therefore that ion is pulled in the opposite direction to its movement. त्याची ज्या बाजूला मूवमेंट चालू आहे त्याच्या एक्झॅक्टली अपोजिट डिरेक्शनला तो जास्त फोर्सने खेचला जातो, and that's why that positive ion will slow down, and we know that the conductance depends on the velocity of the ion, and as the velocity decreases therefore the conductance will decrease. Therefore the direct consequence of this net backward pull is that the conductance of the solution decreases. And we know that as the concentration will increase, the density of the charges will increase, and as the density of charges increase, more charges will be on the back side, and therefore the increase in the concentration will lead to or will result in more effective backward pull, and more the effective backward pull, more will be the slowing down the movement of the ion, which result in decrease in the conductance of a solution. So this is what is called as the asymmetric effect. Now, as this environment becomes asymmetric, therefore a time is required to reform the original situation, original ionic atmosphere situation. That means this asymmetric ionic atmosphere, it tries to regain its equilibrium position. That means it tries to make the ionic atmosphere again symmetric, and for that some time is required. Actually, if the electric field is applied, this will not convert into this anywhere. As the electric field is applied, so asymmetric situation will not convert into a symmetric situation very readily. In fact, it will not occur, or it occurs very rarely, and therefore the time lag which is required to come to its original position, that time is called as the relaxation time, and hence the name relaxation effect. And due to this relaxation effect, the positive ion which is moving, that slows down, and hence the conductance decreases. म्हणून त्याला आणखी एक नाव आहे relaxation effect. The time which is required to regain the equilibrium position, that is called as the relaxation time, and hence the name relaxation effect. So here the ionic atmosphere becomes asymmetric on the application of electric field. Due to this asymmetric ionic atmosphere, a net backward pull is felt by the central ion, which slows down the velocity of the ion, and due to that the conductance of the ion or the conductance of the solution, it decreases. Now the second effect, electrophoretic effect. Now what this effect is? The ions which are present in the solution, these ions, they are surrounded by the solvent molecules. That means if you make a solution in an aqueous medium, the ion is surrounded by the water molecule. We say that the ion is hydrated, and this hydration is depending on charge to size ratio of the ion. When charge to size ratio is more, the ion will be heavily hydrated. Therefore, each ion in the solution, whether it is a positive ion or a negative ion, it is hydrated or it is solvated. That means it is surrounded by the solvent molecules, and therefore if cations wants to move towards the negative electrode, it has to thread its way through the hydrated anions. जो केटायन तुमच्या निगेटिव्ह इलेक्ट्रोड कडे मूव्ह होतोय, त्या केटायनला जे हायड्रेट झालेले एनायन्स आहेत त्यांच्यातून त्याचा वेग शोधत निगेटिव्ह इलेक्ट्रोड कडे जावं लागते. अँड इन दिस time lag, or in this situation, here also the movement of the positive ion is slowed down, which is moving towards the negative electrode, and anion also, it has to thread its way through the hydrated cations, and this effect is called as the electrophoretic effect. Actually, the electrophoretic effect is the movement of an ion in a direction opposite to that of the solvent molecules. सॉल्व्हंट मॉलिक्यूलची मूव्ह होण्याची जी डिरेक्शन आहे त्याच्या अपोजिट डिरेक्शन मध्ये आयनची मूव्हमेंट याला इलेक्ट्रोफोरेसिस म्हणतात. अँड सच इलेक्ट्रोफोरेसिस or such type of the movement is observed here. The cations are migrating towards the negative electrode through the hydrated anions, while the anions are moving towards the positive electrode through the hydrated cations. Hence such effect is called as the electrophoretic effect. So these two effects, they are responsible for slowing down the ions, and due to the decrease in the velocity, the conductance of the solutions decreases, because we know that the velocity, the conductance of the solution is directly depending on the velocities of ion, and in case of the strong electrolyte, these two effects are observed, the asymmetric effect and the electrophoretic effect. On increasing the concentration of the strong electrolyte, as here we have seen, the density of these charges, surrounding charges, increases, because more ions are available, and as more ions are available, more ionic atmosphere, more density of these charges will be there, oppositely charged ions, and more the density, more the forced net backward pull will be experienced by the central ion, and more the net backward pull, more will be there the slowing down velocity of the ion, and more the concentration, as more the concentration will be there, cations and anions, their number is more, their hydration will be there, and therefore due to the electrophoretic effect also, the movement of the ion is slowing down. So these two are the effects which are actually responsible for decrease in the conductance of the strong electrolytes with the increase in concentration. Next time we will see the Onsager equation.